right. Good morning, everyone. I'm Eric Calavoda, Secretary of the Department of Transportation and Development. Thank you for joining us this morning as we kick off National Work Zone Awareness Week. This week, DOTD, along with our transportation partners from across the country, are participating in this annual campaign that highlights the importance of safe driving, especially in work zones where there are more constraints with possibly narrower lanes and potentially more risk and less room for error. This year's theme is "You play a role in the work zone safety, work with us." The theme is fitting as it is an imperative that every driver do their part in safe driving when traveling. DOTD maintains over 16,000 miles of state highway, so there is always construction occurring and maintenance occurring, whether it's general operations or building new infrastructure. The men and women who work in construction zones are in potentially dangerous situations every single day and night they go to work. And unlike many others, their office is not in a building, it's on the side of the road. And there's a lot of vehicles and they're traveling very fast, passing in close proximity to these folks. The orange cones that you see behind me represent the life of someone who was killed in a work zone. In 2021, which is the latest numbers that we have, there were 17 fatalities in Louisiana work zones. Nationwide, there were 950 work zone fatalities. Unfortunately, both of these numbers have increased from 2020, which saw 14 Louisiana fatalities and 850 nationwide fatalities. The sad reality is that many of the fatalities were preventable, as a majority can be attributed to motorists being either impaired, distracted, and or speeding. This past year, DOTD has experienced some losses of our own. In November 2022, Darrell Guillory, one of our Motorist Assistance Patrol drivers, was killed in the line of duty while investigating an abandoned vehicle along I-10. While this did not occur in a work zone, it's a prime example of the dangerous conditions our workers face every day. In January of 2023, 3 of our workers were involved in a crash in DeSoto Parish while performing routine maintenance filling potholes. Tragically, Chris Gray, one of our employees, was killed. The other 2 employees sustained injuries from which they are recovering, but I saw one of these guys at Chris's funeral, and he was bashed up pretty bad, but he made the effort to be there because it was important to him, as Chris was his friend and co-worker. So I want to encourage all drivers to be on the lookout while driving, especially in work zones. Our crews perform their duties in some of the most dangerous situations, and crashes such as those could occur and could be easily prevented. So thank you. Next up is Melissa Mady, with Louisiana State Police.
Thank you. Good morning. Thank you for having me. I'm Lieutenant Melissa Mady with the Louisiana State Police, and we're happy to be here today and partner with our federal agencies and also DOTD, who's been a great partner over the years. In these work zones, we're always out there helping to ensure safety in those work zones. So we have units out there with lights, and we're trying to make sure that the public is aware that they are entering a work zone long before they actually get into the work zone. There's a lot of lane changes and things like that are going to occur. And we're out there looking for those hazardous violations, as you just heard, the speeding, the impaired driving, and of course distractions. And those 3 things cause a lot of crashes. And unfortunately, unfortunately, these crashes can be prevented. So we're asking people to work with us, as what you heard the slogan is for this year. Work with us to prevent these crashes. And when you hear the numbers and you see all of these cones behind us, that represents a life and a family. Somebody that was taken too early, and for reasons that they shouldn't have been taken. It's because somebody wasn't paying attention behind the wheel, or again, speeding or impaired driving. And work zone awareness is especially it's special to Louisiana State Police. In 1998, we had a trooper that was killed in a work zone crash. He was following behind some workers in order to protect them, and he was hit from behind on I-55. His unit burst into flames, and he sustained over 70% of his body in burns, and he later died. And that anniversary of his death is coming up June 30th. And again, he was killed in 1998. So this is something that's very near and dear to our heart, not just because we lost a trooper, but because lives are taken too early every single day across our nation and here in Louisiana. So we ask that people, again, work with us and make sure that anytime they're on the roadway that they're paying attention, they're not distracted, they're not impaired, and of course not speeding. Pay attention to all of those regulations and the signage that is out there on those work zones. Thank you so much. I'm not sure who's next.
Well, thank you for inviting me to speak today, and thank you, Dr. Calavoda, for your continuing support of highway safety in Louisiana. Reducing congestion and crashes in work zones is a priority for the Federal Highway Administration here in Louisiana, as well as across the country. For nearly a quarter century, National Work Zone Awareness Week has been spotlighting critical safety and mobility issues in and around work zones. National Work Zone Awareness Week is traditionally observed in the spring of each year to mark the beginning of the nation's construction season. However, thanks to Louisiana's mild winters, road construction can be performed nearly year-round, making work zone safety a concern throughout the entire year. Work zones are critical for upgrading and maintaining our roadways. The National Transportation System not only provides critical access to the traveling public, but it plays a key role in supporting the nation's economy through the transport of goods and services. In support of this role, the bipartisan infrastructure law is providing significant resources and opportunities for states and local communities to improve safety and mobility for all road users and to ensure the integrity of America's roadway network. National Work Zone Awareness Week serves as an annual reminder that work zone safety and mobility for all road users, including motorists and vulnerable road users like pedestrians, bicyclists, and highway workers on foot, continues to be a significant issue that must be addressed. Additionally, work zone safety is part of the U.S. DOT's National Roadway Safety Strategy to reduce serious injuries and deaths. Nationally, the rate of fatalities has continued to increase. In 2021, 956 people died on our nation's roadways and work zones. This represents a 14% increase in work zone fatalities involving drivers and passengers. 108 of those fatalities were highway workers in construction sites. We at the Federal Highway Administration are proud to support Louisiana DOTD in their efforts to ensure safety and mobility in Louisiana's work zones and to reach their goal of Destination Zero deaths on Louisiana's highways. National Work Zone Awareness Week continues to be a call to action for everyone. You play a role in work zone safety. Work with us. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for coming. I'm Lisa Freeman. I'm the Executive Director of the Louisiana Highway Safety Commission. I hope everyone here today is doing well on this absolutely beautiful morning. You know, that kind of sentiment, how are you doing today, has always been a routine staple of our morning conversations. How's the family? How's work? Even better, how's retirement going? The answer to that same question, how is it going, in the roadway safety realm is alarmingly not good. And the loss of 972 lives reported in our most recent annual crash data report is horrific. And the fact that 1 out of 5 fatalities happens to be someone who's outside of the vehicle, that's tragic, and that is unacceptable. Even those who don't work in the public safety realm have been sensitized to the problem, because multiple times a day, your smartwatch or your cell phone is alerting about another motor vehicle crash, another pedestrian fatality, another roadway worker in critical condition or worse. This clearly tells us that the traffic landscape is a dangerous place. It's especially a dangerous place for the very people we're recognizing here today, those whose jobs place them in work zones, where they work with only the protection of reflective garments and hard hats. When I think of the risk that roadway workers are taking to help improve our infrastructure and our travel experiences, I have to say that I'm filled with admiration and gratitude for the benefits that they provide to us. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We often hear about getting back to basics, meaning back to things or ideas that have a solid foundation, things that have proven to be valuable. One of those things is quite simply respect. Respect. It's the age-old concept of the golden rule. That golden rule is especially important and necessary in our roadway travels. At the Louisiana Highway Safety Commission, we provide public awareness that all road users have rights and that all road users have responsibilities as well. That responsibility part boils down to a basic concept of respect and consideration. Our roadway workers deserve that, something that we can easily do by slowing down, by paying attention, by not being impaired, and by just giving them the space and the time they need to perform their duties. One of my favorite books is titled All I Really Need to Know I Learned in Kindergarten. The premise being that the lessons we learn as young children would serve us well as adults. That is, if we continue to embrace those early, simple lessons. The first 3 items on the author's list are share everything, play fair, don't hit people. While I don't think the author of that book was specifically talking about our highway interactions, I believe those goals still fit. Share the road. Be fair to fellow motorists and to our vulnerable road users, those who are walking and biking and motorcycling. And don't hit people. Obviously, we can do a lot of damage on the roadway. That's clear by the stats that we see. But we can also do no harm. Respect and consideration. That's the role. That's the theme. That's how we work together. They are simple concepts, they're basic concepts, but potentially they're ones that can have major and lasting impact. Thank you very much.
Okay, well, thank you again for coming this morning, and that concludes our program. Thank you for being here.